they have a new one. We need to check that one out. Absolutely, we need to check that one out. Historian Dan Snow versus AI. It's a very long video. I'm just gonna watch a little bit, but let's check it out.
It's worse than I thought.
I mean, it's AI.
The AI machine is useless, given the amount of nonsense on the internet. At least there's no aliens. It's painful. Did you do that deliberately to me?
Yeah.
Did you ask? No. How could you do this? Do better, AI. Not just untrustworthy, but incompetent. Hey, I'm Dan Snow, and I must have done something terrible at the Christmas party because my team have dragged me in here to react to some AI images depicting great moments from world history. I've got a bad feeling about this.
Oh no, that was horrible. Look at that.
Depicting great moments from world history. I've got a bad feeling about this.
Oh, look at that. I hate the monstrosity on faces and hands that you can get from the AI. Now he says world history, so maybe something ancient Roman as well. That could be fun.
I'm feeling pretty nervous here. We're about to ignore all the beautiful, accurate images ever created by human beings.
Yeah.
I want to be reviewing great movies, and you're making me look at this junk. Anyway, let's get on with it.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, I agree with the approach. I do understand the approach.
Where to start? Well, it's the building of Stonehenge.
Absolutely correct.
It's a catastrophe. It's grotesque. It's attempting to depict the construction of the big trilithons, those big arches that are so symbolic, iconic at Stonehenge. The big outer circle, which is actually the last stones added to the stone.
Yeah, and it's not a circle, is it? I think the AI missed out on the note that it was supposed to be a circle, not a square.
Stonehenge monument is built over thousands of years. It began just as a ditch with a bank, and then they erected those blue stones, the smaller stones around it, and those kept getting rearranged, and finally they erected this big outer circle. Now, they are about 4 meters high. These appear to be about 10 meters high.
No, I'll tell you what that is. It looks like one of those structures that we build in Conan Exile. I built something like this in Conan Exile and put a temple in it.
The whole beauty of Stonehenge is that it's so superbly rounded.
I agree.
Extraordinarily clever.
Yeah.
They're straight. It's like they're building a Roman or Greek temple or colonnaded walkway. The landscape looks vaguely similar to Wiltshire, reasonably open, rolling hills. We think that that chalky terrain would have been largely free of trees, which in itself made it so special because Britain was heavily forested at the time, and there would have been this big, this part of southern England. It was strangely very open. I think that would have drawn people to the area. So that's perhaps a little bit of accuracy.
Yeah.
What the... okay, I've just spotted... I don't know what's going on. There appear to be some...
human chicken.
Are they dogs?
Oh no, oh, that's a monstrosity.
I don't know what these animals are. What's interesting is that AI's got something wrong here. It assumes that the stones always looked as old and sort of crumbly and cracked as they do today, but that's the result of thousands of years of weathering and freeze-thaw. When these sarsen stones were originally raised, they would have been smooth, they'd have been quite white, they'd have looked brand new, they'd have been very...
Yeah, absolutely.
Very, very striking. Here they're looking far too old. Extraordinarily, these sarsens were brought from 19 miles away, and we don't really know how. If enough people get together, you can drag them over wet ground. You can also roll them on logs. It takes a huge number of people a long time to do it.
What is it with the logs, though? Everybody seems to use the idea of logs for literally everything that involves moving something that is heavier than Samus's armor from Metroid. Well, oh my gosh, can you please focus? No? All right, that's fine. My camera doesn't focus on Metroid.
One thing I like about the AI is it appears to show they're using these animal antlers to do some of the finishing work. And that's true, they would have used antlers, we're sure, to dig the ditch around Stonehenge, but they would have used rock tools to really shape these upright stones. What the AI is also attempting to do here, which is interesting, is show some of the other stones, so-called station stones, and there were 4 outer...
Oh, I'll tell you this much, since I mean he's providing excellent commentary up to this point, but you know, when I see this wooden structures and we could say builds supporting wooden structures, it makes me think of Dark Souls. Now I can see that there is a little passage here and you're going to go through, but then you're going to get a bomb from a monster on top that you didn't see, and the developer knew that, and then you're going to get bombed, you're going to fall, die, you died. That's what I'm seeing now. That's what I see.
Stones forming a perfect rectangle around Stonehenge, which were part of the solar alignment of this amazing site. Stonehenge is all built around the movement of the sun. On the longest day of the year, the sun actually rises right above one of these outer stones and shines straight through on the altar stone in the heart of Stonehenge, which recent research has shown came all the way from Scotland.
That is cool. I did not know that.
You don't see in this picture. I mean, Obviously, there's a lot you don't see because it's just made up. But what you don't see is how these uprights are joined to the lintels. There was something called a mortise and tenon. So on top of these, there was like a lump of stone that they left. And then they scooped out a little hole in the tops. They slotted in. Very like a Lego brick.
Yes.
Women in this picture. The AI is not a feminist. Given the amount of nonsense on the internet, at least there's no aliens fresh from building the pyramids, just whipping across and putting up Stonehenge. How did he get these stones
Goodness gracious, I think we're going to get some alien stuff if we keep doing this.
upright? There must have been structures, we could call them cranes, pulleys, a gantry that allows lots and lots of humans to kind of pull this stone upright and slot it into a hole that had been dug for it. It's putting lots of wood around, sort of weird ladders. And the AI doesn't know. The AI doesn't know. Don't listen to the AI. Listen to the archaeologists. It isn't horrible. What was Eleanor's max?
You know what's crazy about the don't listen to the AI, listen to the archaeologists part? Is that I noticed that there are lots of people, and unfortunately YouTubers as well, and they have shown this, that actually use the AI for their research. Whether it be for language, whether it be for historical information, you can't rely on the AI. They still make mistakes. The AI, I use the AI. I use several AI systems, but only as language models to help me with translation. Like imagine that I'm writing a script in Italian, or maybe one of my researchers who feels more comfortable writing in Italian, and they send me the script, I put it into the AI, it translates it, and it does a very good job at that. And then I put them one next to the other, and I touch it up if needed, but sometimes I don't even need to do it. That's how well they do the translation. With that being said, up to this point, the AI is only good at doing that, or to speak a little bit. Like I will use ChatGPT to actually speak and practice my Mandarin, and it's usually pretty good at that, or Japanese or French or whatever the heck. But if you ask, tell me about the history of Stonehenge, it will get stuff wrong. And if you ask it, for instance, and I tried to ask AI, teach me the pitch of these words in Japanese, it will get it wrong. So you can't trust the AI. You could use it to summarize. I guess you can use it to rewrite something you have written, or maybe to help you enrich a little bit. And it can work like a thesaurus, if you will. Like, hey, I use this same word 3 times. Could you please find a synonymous? I don't have any problems using AI there. For art, it's very much of a controversial topic. But yeah, definitely not for studying.
I think maybe 4.
Okay, maybe I'll. I guess I'll give that a 6.
Has this made...
How did you give it a 6, Dan? I mean, Dan is a nice guy. We just figured that one out. But he has been destroying this picture, and then he gives it a 6. 6 means above average. For your commentary, based on your commentary, you need to give it a 2. I'm not saying 0, I'm not saying 1. But anyways, we've got the sponsor. Next, the assassination of Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar, let's go.
It's the assassination of Julius Caesar, folks. I knew this one was coming up.
All right, let me have a look. Oh, no. Oh, no. So, well, let me tell you this much. He's not going to say that, but I'm going to say it. We don't have leather wristbands. We have bronze or brass or orichalcum wristbands, because you always have to have wristbands, but at least it's not leather. I consider that a favorable point. The only favorable point. It's similar to the Spartan from the movie a little bit. Look at the armor. What the heck is going on with him? He's wearing armor. He shouldn't die. This is alternative history. He's wearing something that looks like brass segmented. So why is he dead? Oh, this is horrible. Plus, one of the assailants got killed, so he retaliated a little bit. And also they twisted his arm in a way that is not natural. Yeah, I like the pteruges that did here. I mean, 3 strata, I guess, but the mantle could be alright-ish, maybe, but not here because it fuses into whatever the heck he's wearing. This is terrible.
Something about this moment in history. It has got to be one of the most famous single incidents in history. We actually know quite a lot about it. 15th of March, 44 BC.
Yeah.
Julius Caesar.
You got a point from me now because you said BC instead of BCE. Or did he? That's a little bit of a difficult to figure out. Let's listen to him again.
About it, 15th of March. 44 BC.
Yeah, no, that's BC, so I think he gets the point from me.
Julius Caesar, assassinated by members of the Senate. Julius Caesar was one of the most stunning military commanders in history, but he's an incredibly effective
they did put BCE, CE. Okay, take the point off. Of course, I'm exaggerating. I use BC AD. In fact, here's how I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it 100 before the year of our Lord, the Domini, Jesu Christi. Anyways, BC AD, that's what I use. If people want to use BCE, CE, feel free. Do what you want. Free country. Never in a million years. I'm going to have on my, whenever I die, on my grave, I want AD written on it.
As well. He was a soldier, he was a politician, he was tough, and he secured various political offices. But his big breakthrough came when he was sent off to what is now France, Gaul.
He was tough.
And when he was there, he went way beyond expectations that had been set for him, and he just conquered a vast empire across Western Europe that was kind of genocidal, brutal campaign that went on for years. And when he arrived back in Rome, he had enormous power and influence as a result. And he emerged as an emperor in all but name, a king in all but name, dominating the Roman Empire and its political elite. He was a dictator, really.
Yes.
And he was assassinated by people who wanted to remove his influence from the Roman Republic. Perhaps they wanted to take more power for the Senate, perhaps they were jealous, perhaps they wanted to replace him.
And they failed because then we've got Octavianus Augustus.
But Julius Caesar had attained a position of such power and domination that enemies gathered and plotted to assassinate him on the Senate floor. He wasn't killed in the Senate House as it appears in Rome today. He was killed in the theatre of Pompey. There was a curious...
Pompey! We got Pompey, guys! Raise your hands for Pompey. That's what we do on this channel. Pompey! Everyone raise their hands for Pompey. Even you. You're not raising your hands. I can see you. Raise your... There we go. That's it. Great. Thank you. Pompey! It's Pompey again.
Meeting room for Roman senators. And as he went in there, as he approached his seat, senators, some of them he thought were his friends, gathered round him and started stabbing him. He'd been told not to go to the Senate that day. His wife had had a dream that there was blood flowing from Caesar. I think she must have heard rumours. There were rumours swirling around Rome. Every time you ask AI or a Hollywood director to do anything in the Roman world, everyone is in full armour the whole time. They were not in armour. They were other senators. This was a political meeting. They were not...
Yeah, soldiers would have been in armour. I mean, soldiers acted as police officers in Rome, by the way. They had policing. And I would imagine when they did that, maybe some would have been in armour. Of course, normally soldiers in armour is on campaigns. So he's correct with that, about that. Absolutely. But I think maybe soldiers, as they were policing, they could be wearing mail, for instance. Hamata or Gallica.
All dressed as Spartans from the Battle of Thermopylae. They're all in 300. There's a guy on the floor here. I don't know what's happened to him. It looks like Julius Caesar's broken his ankle as well.
And burnt his thigh.
He fell down. He had a nasty twist there. Julius Caesar's got a crown on his head, which is ironic because he was offered the crown a few times. He said, do you want to become king of Rome, like the way Rome had been a kingdom in the past? He pushed it away, each time more unwillingly. I'm just not sure about the physiology of Caesar here. The giant Julius Caesar. There's arms and legs just sticking out in strange directions. That right arm looks uncomfortable. And is this guy stabbing him in the shoulder? I'm not sure. This is disturbing. Julius Caesar was stabbed repeatedly.
I think disturbing is an excellent term to describe accurately a lot of AI art, particularly when it's like this, because to be honest, there is some AI art that does look nice. Sometimes the lighting will be like weird, or so I'm told by actual artists, but as someone who's not an artist and it's just someone who's watching it as the customer of artists, I pay artists to make my thumbnails, for instance, and sometimes I make them myself. But when I outsource them, I pay artists to do them. What artists usually say is like, yeah, you can tell it's AI art, but sometimes there is some AI art that looks really good. Now, that doesn't mean I still prefer to support real artists, but I don't want to just say it's horrible just on the basis of it. I want to look at it and be like, guys, this looks good. Like anime, for instance, maybe because it's kind of simpler when it comes to as an art form, maybe. That's why sometimes anime AI art, I can't tell it apart.
But there's no evidence that his face melted. Speaking artistically, not as a historian, because it's nonsense, I quite like the side light here coming in through this window, shining off Caesar's armour and on the breastplates here. I think he was wearing a white toga on the day, so I guess that's good. Rating this one, well, somebody called Julius Caesar was killed in a building with bladed weapons. I guess that the AI gets that right, but this building is ahistorical. The uniforms are ridiculous.
The columns shouldn't be white. They should be in colour and painted.
Armour, the size, and then some of the physiology is a bit scary in this one. I'm afraid I'm giving this a 4.
I'm giving it a 1.
Let's have a look at one. Oh, now, why would you do this to me? You're deliberately winding me up. This is not the Battle of Trafalgar.
It is the Battle of Trafalgar.
No. The Battle of Trafalgar with the US flag? Did you do that deliberately to me?
Yeah.
Did you ask?
No,
How could you do this?
I didn't do anything, it's all the AI.
No.
It's funny.
No.
This is great.
I mean, it's not... Why couldn't AI just Why couldn't they just go online and just copy a picture of the Battle of Trafalgar? It's not that hard. Why would you do this? Why would you do this? Why would you despoil? Why would you ruin one of the greatest, most seminal events in history? Why? An event that Turner, so many other artists have painted.
Because it's time travel. That's what the AI is telling you here. It's time travel.
Good job, I keep hearing AI is just copying stuff all the time. Why don't you copy it? You don't have to create harmful content like this. I
honestly think the AI does not create. I think we create. The AI assembles. But I'm not an expert. I'm just saying this is how I would describe it. I think AI assembles rather than create. Create, to me, necessitates a human intention behind it. I'm being a little linguist in this situation. I'm being a little pedantic with the linguistics of it.
This is showing the moment at which the French ship Achilles blew up. It's right at the end of the Battle of Trafalgar, fought on the 21st of October 1805. Because this appears to be some kind of explosion. Other than that, there is nothing in this image at all that could possibly be described as representative of the Battle of Trafalgar. The only reason...
Let's go for the next one. He's gonna... Oh my gosh, he really hated it. Let's see how much...
I need to burn it. I
go.
need to scatter it across the landscape under a full moon, so no evidence of its existence can it survive.
Oh,
it's getting... Yeah, I'll give it a 0.
I thought it was going to be like, yeah, 5. All right, we got a 0. What's next? So what have we got? We got Battle of Hastings. I'm totally watching that one. George Washington. Man, this is good. Cortez, Montezuma, Napoleon. Man, this is a fun episode. Let's check out Battle of Hastings. Let's go.
I'm now traumatized.
He's traumatized.
Next one. Wow.
What on earth is this? How does this work? Like you pull the lever, the cord, with your head. Goodness gracious, to operate the bow, if you could even call it such, as it's connected through to a lance that rests on the back of this knight. Goodness gracious. And the horse has got panels. It's like assembled. It's a Lego horse. Helmet-wise, so we got some plate armor and some mail, I suppose. It's an interesting interpretation of mail. I love that they have this. It's a beheaded knight on the banner here. A beheaded crossbowman. It's not gonna beat well. It's not gonna increase your troops' morale if you've got one of yours beheaded already. Fishing rod musket. Yeah, that's a fishing rod bow. It's a fishing rod bow. Also, could we... Oh, I see, because this is like... So the breastplate goes underneath here, and then this is the collar, which fails miserably to protect the throat. But, I mean, whatever. And, well, at least the breastplate seems to end on the natural waist. So the AI got this one right. Usually video games don't. Yeah, this is... What is he gonna say?
Going on here. I had to think about this one for a second because I looked at the red cross on the breastplate and I thought this was maybe Crusades. What is going on with this? This mess coming out of his forehead.
I love what you say. The male looks like TV static.
Forehead and attached to a staff. It feels like King Harold of England getting hit by an arrow in the eye at the Battle of Hastings in October 1066.
Exactly.
Am I right?
But he shot himself, though.
Horrible. For so many reasons. The whole point about the Battle of Hastings AI, have you learned nothing while you've been illegally scraping my content from the internet, is that the English fought on foot and the Normans had a powerful cavalry element at the Battle of Hastings. That is the entire point. So King Harold was not on a horse. And also, while we're on the subject, if he had been on a horse, why is he on a winged horse? Why is he on Pegasus? There should not be wings. These horses could not fly.
No more wings for horses, guys. No more wings. Man, wait for him to see cavalry unit for the Rampart faction in Heroes of Might and Magic 3, though.
They still cannot do that. We're not even sure King Harold was hit by an arrow in the eye, but that's, I suppose, not really the AI's fault because that is part of the popular story about the Battle of Hastings. But the most reliable source at the time seems to suggest that he was actually cut down by a hit squad.
All right, for the entire explanation, do you refer to the original video? I want to see Cristoforo Colombo. We're both Italian. Stop saying that Cristoforo Colombo was Spanish. It was not. It was Italian from Genova.
Ooh. This could be one of several.
Oh, they made... Ooh, that's a race swap. They made Cristoforo Colombo a Native American Indian. A Native American, I guess you don't say Indian anymore, do you? I don't know which one is the correct one. Every time I say it, people get offended. Is it a Native American, an American Indian? I mean, not India, but that's how we used to call him. I don't know. You tell me, and I'll say it the correct way. Anyways, he was from just not one of Genoese from medieval Italy looks like, and what's up with the gut?
Or European explorers meeting indigenous people in the age of exploration, if you want to call it that, the age of European expansion.
Yes.
Is that Columbus? He's dressed a bit like a hippie.
It is Christopher Columbus.
Man, how did he recognize him?
Christopher Columbus never got to the American mainland. He visited the islands of the Caribbean and the Bahamas, and this would be him interacting with those people. This is a rather generous impression of that interaction.
Generous?
His relations with the local people he met were usually pretty violent.
Yeah.
The ship is wrong, but I'm a ship geek, so I would say that, wouldn't I? Is it 1492?
1492,
Yeah.
Columbus sailed the ocean blue.
Columbus sailed the ocean blue and he arrived in the Caribbean with...
I like the water, though, how it represented. It looks like an oil painting. That's the only thing I like about this generated picture. And always there is something on the wrist, isn't there? Like, I'm going to make it a point in my life to never wear anything on my wrists ever again.
Incredibly negative consequences for these people here, because Columbus would bring the double whammy. Not only would he and his successors enslave the indigenous people, put them to work on plantations growing things like sugar, but they would also be wiped out by the diseases.
The diseases, that is true.
No one, to be fair, knew about, that were being carried by this crew on this ship. Eurasian diseases, unknown in the Americas, and so these people had...
Could you imagine that you have no antibodies to... that's crazy. It's what we are afraid of when we talk about like space exploration, the idea of bringing our own diseases, unless we sterilize, of course, which we would have to. But I think there was one of the earliest missions where they weren't doing that just yet. And so they had to destroy one of these satellite, was it? No, it wasn't a satellite. It was like a... I don't know the term. Sorry about that. But anyways, it is something that we have to think about when it comes to visiting other worlds. Because if there are like sentient beings, obviously we don't want to start like an intergalactic war. But even if it's like bacteria, or maybe not bacteria, but plant life or small animal life, we could wipe them all out. Unless their biology is so different than ours, then our bacteria and viruses don't even recognize them as something they could try and attack. That could be interesting. All right, last execution of Anne Boleyn. Let's have a look at George Washington as the last one.
This cannot be. This is a mess, this image here. We've got the stars and stripes. We've got the US flag. There are far, far, far too many stars on this flag,
course.
I think, for the period in which we are.
Maybe even today, there's more than 50. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 50. I think you've got like 60 stars in there. So this is like the American flag of the future. After they start, if you guys start annexing stuff, then that's the new flag.
We've got a ship with an iron hull, very rusty iron plates on the hull.
Or it's painted, because you know how you paint red, the lower end of a ship? Maybe in the future they paint the entirety of the ship.
I think 19th century ship. Some very confused water here. And then we've got a very unrealistic wooden rowing boat with a bunch of guys in it going into the fog. This does remind me of the Star Spangled Banner, "Oh Say Can You See" by the Dawn's Early Light. In the War of 1812, when the British were attacking Baltimore, when the smoke cleared in the morning, they saw that the American flag was still flying and they knew the British had failed to capture the fort. That's one option. However, I'm very disturbed by these people here, and I am wondering, given these are the most famous moments in history, is this supposed to be George Washington crossing the Delaware River?
Is he really guessing it, or did he have a look at the script first and he's like putting on a performance? I always like to give people the benefit of the doubt. Let's say that he is guessing. He's really good. I have to give him that. Like if this is not staged, which I don't know, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. If he's actually guessing it, I'm guessing. I got to say he's pretty good.
It's an outrage. People should not be allowed to create these. What you're asking me
People didn't create that.
do here is not only painful, unethical, it is dangerous. Every single thing about this image is nonsense.
Man, the amount of stuff that I think is dangerous out there. I still think it should be allowed, but I debunk everything.
Do you think we should censor it? the screen.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. You may have guessed.
I'm not a
The
fan
flag
either.
is wrong. The ship is insane. I mean, we can't even deal with the ship. The ship just needs to be out of there. I don't know what's happening.
What do
There
you
are some spears in this rowing boat. It's monstrous. It's monstrous.
It's like oars that double down as spears. Well, I guess if you lost your oars, but you've got a bunch of spears, why not at that point?
I guess it's an opportunity to talk a little bit about one of the most dynamic, the most striking and impressive moments of George Washington's military career. The American colony.
Yeah, cool. All right, so for all the information, of course, refer to the original video, and I will put a link in the description and a pinned comment as always.